Welcome. My name is Jean Morano. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Annual Giving and Alumni Engagement here at Montclair State University, and welcome to this program on behalf of our office. We're excited to bring you tonight's program, Building Your Authentic Personal Brand. In this workshop, you'll learn how to package yourself and communicate your unique skills and the value you bring to a team or a company. It's a mix of how you present yourself and how others see you, and how building that authentic brand and taking control of it can open pathways to opportunities and boost your career. So we're pleased to bring you opportunities such as tonight's workshop, as well as networking programs. And I think everybody had a Soar With Us postcard as you came in. It's a series of events we're hosting throughout New Jersey and New York. The first event will be in Morristown on January 30th. If you're interested in registering, you can see one of us after the program. We do social gatherings, we do community service activities, cultural outings, and reunions. So mark your calendar for the 10th annual wine tasting. Have folks gone to the wine tasting here? It's a great activity over in the University Hall. It'll be our 10th, and it's on April the 1st, if you're interested, and check out the many activities that we plan during homecoming, and for this year it will be on October the 10th. So keeping your contact information up to date is really critical for this. Be sure to provide your email so you receive important updates and invitations to all of these activities. You can update your information anytime on Montclair Connect, our online community, which provides you with valuable networking tools. It includes a searchable directory, so you can connect with your classmates and colleagues. You can look for and register to attend events and activities, and you can create your own alumni Gmail account. Always remember, your connection to Montclair State University lasts a lifetime. So whether you're graduating this year, graduated more than 50 years ago, or somewhere in between, you remain a part of the MSU community. And I look forward to working with you as we come together to build and strengthen that alumni network. So we hope you find sessions like tonight helpful as you navigate your career path, and your feedback's really important to us as we develop future events and activities. I think there was an evaluation form that we handed out to you as well, so if you can please fill that out before you go, we really appreciate that. So let's get started with the program. I'm delighted to introduce tonight's instructor, Tara Chiari. As a certified executive leadership and career coach and founder of Smile Across the Finish Coaching, Tara specializes in coaching business executives, creative professionals, and artists in areas of leadership, career, and professional development. Tara's coaching focuses on eliciting positive change through goal-oriented coaching methods. She holds 2 certifications, one in executive and personal development coaching from New York University, and one in career coaching from Get 5, which is formerly known as the 5 O'Clock Club, which some of you may be familiar with, a premier outplacement company renowned for their highly successful research-proven methodology. So for over 20 years, Tara worked as a marketing executive at a major music labels and has transferred those skills as a product manager and marketing strategist into the field of positive psychology and the practice of coaching and leadership development. Currently, Tara manages career services at Wagner College, where she coaches students on career exploration, leadership, and professional development. She is also an executive coach here at Montclair State's Feliciano School of Business to our MBA and EMBA students. So please join me in welcoming Tara.
Coming out on an evening like this. It's gotten a little nicer out. It's been a long day at work, and here you are, ready to learn about authentic personal branding. It means a lot to see you sitting here, looking at me, ready to get into this. So I want everyone to just take a deep breath, because we're going to do a lot of reflection. We're going to do a lot of activities that require some brain power, and you've just gone through a whole day. So take a moment to realize we're going to jump into this. It's not going to be hard, it's going to be fun, and it's something that's going to sustain you. You're going to be able to use this after today. I don't want you to feel like when you come to this workshop, okay, I'll do this right now, and put it away, shove those papers in the drawer, go home, and maybe I'll find it again in a year. I want you to keep this with you, because the content I'm going to show you is something that requires a lot of growth and development. And we're going to just get started with some ideas here. And eventually, I want you to be able to really embrace and own your personal brand. Whether you have one and you want to amp it up, or you're just getting started figuring out what is my personal brand. So, my name is Tara Chiari. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. this is my logo, this is part of my personal brand. So I am not going to give the full bio about my background, but what I will say, I used to launch and boost the careers of rock stars, and now I make rock stars out of executives and aspiring professionals. I do it in higher education, and I do it in my private business. My private business is called Smile Across the Finish Coaching. I went with this name because I'm also an avid runner. Anyone a runner here? Yay! So I love running, and I use it as a philosophy. To me, it's all about the joy in the journey and the training. And so when I work with my clients, it's all about focusing on achieving each goal, celebrating the joy in the journey. If you look at the word journey, it's got J-O-Y in it. And to me, that's the essence of how I want to work with people, whether it's in a group or one-on-one. So I love talking about branding. I love talking about marketing. It comes from my background in the music industry. Here are the goals we're going to cover today. We're going to understand what is a personal brand and how it will have an impact on your success. I want to help you identify and articulate what differentiates you, your core values, your strengths, your brand keywords. Create and communicate a personal brand statement, and understand the power of personal image, executive presence. Couple of quick ground rules. So, I really want to keep this open. You guys can have dialogue. It's, we're all in this together. But a couple of things that I want to set as a preface for everything. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. This is a safe space. This happens to be a great room, so it really is a safe space. Get outside your comfort zone. Something about this workshop registered for you and said, I gotta go to this. So be prepared to push yourself beyond where you normally are. When you start to feel a little funny, that's a good feeling. That's something you should keep dialing into. I want you to be curious and open-minded. Please participate and contribute. I welcome it. Raise your hand, ask a question. The more we're engaged, the better. There is no silly question. More than likely, you have a question that someone else has. We're going to be mindful of the time. We're wrapping at 8 o'clock, so I want to make sure I might have to say, okay, we have to pull it in, we can discuss it afterwards. And you're welcome to take photos. If you want of the slides, with a lot of the students I work with, they're all pulling out the phone, taking photos. I have no problem. You're also welcome to share. I have no problem with that. You're welcome to tag me on LinkedIn as well. So let's just have fun with all of this, okay? So I love this. Perception. What do you see? Just shout it out. What do you see? An Eskimo? How many people see an Eskimo? Okay. What's the other thing you see? Face? An indigenous face? It's perception, right? Could be one, could be the other. What do you see here? Am I what? What is it? Lady's face? Or an old lady's face. You guys see the old lady's face? Look for the nose. So if you don't see the old lady's face, follow this part here is the nose, and that's the mouth. See how it flips? Perception. What's this? Is it a bird? Or is it a cat? I had the same thing. I was like, it's a bird. Of course it's a bird. Or is it a cat? Perception. What do you see when you look at this? You don't see the cat? Okay, if you don't see the cat, look at the corner and it's an ear, and the head is tilted. That is the ear, and the head is tilted, looking sideways. Okay? I'm going to go another one. Ooh, this side. Do you see it in the front or do you see side? Front and side. Can you see both? Isn't that amazing? Perception, right? Look at how everyone in this room is looking at it going, oh, no, first I see this, then I see that. One more. Same thing, right? But look, it's the front and it's the side. It's all about perception. Branding is all about perception. I love this model. You should keep it in your head because it really captures the essence of branding. How you see yourself, and how others see you. And in the middle there, that perception point, that's your personal brand. So think about those slides we just went through. You see this, you see that. Now let's take it to ourselves. Every way a person encounters an impression with you, that's their perception of you. It's their perception of how they see you. You see yourself one way, someone sees you another way. Somewhere in that middle is your personal brand. And how aware are you of that middle part? Your brand is a perception or emotion maintained by somebody other than you. And it describes the total experience of having a relationship with you. What does that mean to you? What does this mean to you when you see this quote? That it's about the perception or emotion maintained by somebody other than you. It's about the experience of the relationship with you. Yeah?
I just take it as if you met someone who knew me and you asked them to describe me. It's kind of that's what certain things or traits that would come to mind.
Exactly. That's a really great point. Branding is all about the reputation, the impression you're making when you're not in the room. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. When you're not there, how are they thinking about you? How do people describe you when you leave the room? You set up the next slide really well. Thank you. Is it the story you want shared? Is it what you want to have told? Personal branding is individual to every person. Are you aware of your personal brand? We just did perception, right? What you see, this, that. Are you aware of how you're being perceived? Have you really taken time to reflect and be open to how you're being perceived? That's the hard part. We can have something in our head, but are we open to how someone else is seeing us? Is it what we want? Is it in alignment? This is why we're here, to really help start to think about how we get things in alignment. Now, why is it important? Why do we need a personal brand? Why do we even need, what's the point of it? Can I have someone just read these slides for me? Someone that's got a good booming voice. Come on, I need someone that can read. Okay, thanks.
People with personal brands outperform and outsell 78% of their peers. For employers, 70% use social media to screen candidates during the hiring process. 43% use social media to check on current employees. In the gig economy, average person switches jobs every 2 to 3 years. As of 2017, freelance and contract workers are 34% of the U.S. workforce. And by now, it's 43%.
Your personal brand is always being observed. So you've got to care. You have to care how you're being perceived. Anyone ever Google themselves? Did you Google yourself? If you haven't, you should Google yourself. Look at what's coming up on your results. It's fun? Yeah, it's fun. You need to be aware that's part of your personal brand because it's being looked at in every way, especially when it comes to the job market. It's being looked at by recruiters, hiring managers, your colleagues, and it affects you. It affects your career velocity. It affects your development. It's how you want your story told. So you have to be very conscious of your brand, not just in presence, but in your digital footprint, especially today. I mean, it's all about the digital footprint. And authenticity. What makes a brand authentic? What makes it authentic is it's recognizing the core essence of an individual, their values, their strengths, their passions. It's not fake. It can't be just, fake it till you make it. It's not spin. It comes from an honest place. You can tell when someone's brand is not being real, when it's not authentic. When it's authentic, you're really shining. It's evident. It's infectious. People remember you. And it continues to sustain. And you're able to maintain your personal brand consistently because it's authentic. When something's not real to you, it's like you're stuck in a rut. It's not me. But when it's you have no problem. You don't even think about it. It's all authentic. And it's important to be authentic in your brand. That's why I say building your authentic personal brand. So your personal brand reflects on these values. This is how we make it authentic. This is how you create your brand. You have to do a lot of self-reflection, self-assessment, looking deep internally. Core values are one of the most important things to look at. Your strengths, your skills, your personality, your passions. There's any number of other factors to look at, but just for this workshop, we're hitting these primary attributes. There are so many more things you could dig into. But I think this is going to be breaking the ice, getting things going initially for you to think about your personal brand. Now, when you think about your personal brand and the story that's told and someone, their perception of you, I'll give you a quick example. When I was at Wagner College, a student was introducing me to a prospective student, and she said, "Oh, that's Tara. She helps you figure out your life. Go in her office, she'll help you figure things out with your life." I had never heard someone describe me like that, and I thought it was a good situation, because I thought, oh, okay, I like that. That's actually what I'm trying to do. I had never heard it that way, but it was great, and actually it helped spread the word because more students started realizing, I should go to Tara's office, she's gonna help me figure out my life. What we do is we're figuring out where do you wanna go, what's your plan, how will you get there. But that high level summary, I wouldn't have known that if she hadn't shared it with me, if she hadn't given me that perception. And that's why you always wanna be open to what the feedback is. What are people saying about you? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And you also need to be open to the feedback because you can adjust it. You can change. You can enhance. I gave an example of a good situation. It wasn't a situation where I said, oh, okay, gotta go back, change how I'm being, something's not right. But I've had feedback where I had to really think, is this what I wanted to hear? And if it's not, how can I adjust it? When I worked in the music industry, the general manager of my company, I was a music marketing executive, and the general manager of my company said to me, you do such a good job. I can depend on you for anything. You're a utility player. That was the phrase he used. He said, you're my utility player. He said, I could just throw anything at you and you figure it out. You can handle all the work projects, all the hard projects, the projects that are just developing, the grind projects. Now, it sounds like a really good thing. It sounds like a compliment. But then afterwards, I thought, I don't know. And I was talking to my colleague and she said, you have to be careful. You don't become the dumping ground. You don't get all the projects no one else wants to work, but someone has to work it, and you become the dumping ground. And that was a real eye-opener, because here I was not managing my personal brand. I wasn't in tune with this. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just, I'm gonna work hard. I'm just gonna do the best I can, and of course everyone will see that means something. What did it mean? Where was it taking me? It certainly wasn't building me where I wanted to go in my career. So when I got that feedback, I then went back and I started raising my hand saying, I'd really like to work on some of the harder projects that are big name acts. I don't want to just work on the acts that no one ever heard of. I can handle it. You just said I'm a really good worker, and then the doors open. Then I was able to change and leverage that feedback, and I was able to get those big artists. He gave me Van Morrison and Bob Seger and Sarah Brightman, and they were hard projects, but they're known artists, and I wasn't the dumping ground anymore. So it's really important for you to think about how can you take that feedback and adjust your personal brand. You don't always want to hear the positive. It goes both ways.
Question. What if you're trying to change your personal brand?
Yeah.
Say, like I've changed from one career to another. I'm building my own business right now, and it's completely different.
Okay.
Some of the core qualities I still have,
Yes.
which I may not necessarily have needed in my previous job, but
Right.
are very essential to this job.
Yeah.
They were helpful. So how do you go about translating that and making it authentic, especially as you're starting out when you're
That is such a
and
good
you're
question.
figuring it out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I'm proof of that because I went through a career transition. How the heck do you go from marketing in the music business, being a product manager, to then starting a business as a career and executive coach? I figured that you have to look at, first of all, the strengths you have. What are your core values? What are your skills? And how are they transferable to what you're doing now? There's something about what you're doing now, your new business, that you're passionate about, you're excited about. You have to just think of Some of it's a pivot, right? And some of it's going to be what's the common denominator, what's the thread that comes from your previous job that is a continued skill in where you're going now. But it does take time, and I will give you a big tip on that. The more you network and talk to people, people you know, people you don't know, as you keep getting experience, the more you're going to get their perception. Right? You're going to hear what they think, and you're going to go, oh, I didn't think of myself like that. Like that student who said something to me that I'd never thought of before. So the more you get that feedback, be open to the perception, the more you're able to adjust and shift your personal brand. Okay? Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so I want to be mindful of time, and I want to jump into this first exercise, which will probably also help you as you're thinking about this. You have a worksheet, and it's not gonna, we're not gonna spend heavy time doing this, okay? You're just gonna work on exercise 1. Now, before we just dig into it, what are core values? What does that mean to you? What is a core value? When you see it, what does it mean to you to have a core value? What does it mean when you have your core values? Yeah.
Well, like for example, I'm a teacher, and in my school we have core values. They're integrity, responsibility, excellence, and respect. So it's like what everyone follows, like culture that you feel.
Right, and that's for the organization. And your personal core value, it's like your guiding light. It's your beliefs. And a lot of us don't know what our core values are. It takes time to figure out. You have to reflect. This is a really good exercise to think about it. When you know what your core values are, you're going to feel such a sense of contentment. A lot of times when you feel stuck, and you're not happy at your job, and you're not happy with what you're doing, it's more than likely because your core values are out of alignment. And you need to get clear on what is it. That makes a big difference. And they can sometimes shift. So you also have to accept that, like you went through a change, you have to accept, you know what? That was my value in my 20s. It's not my values now. That was my values before children. Now I have children, oh my gosh, I have to accept there's some new values in my life. So it's always important to keep reflecting on where you're at in the present moment. All right, so I'm going to give you only a few minutes, so I don't want you to take too long. You can't overthink this exercise. And go through just exercise 1, and when you're done, just put your pens down, look back up, and we're going to move to the next section of debriefing. If you have any questions, just throw it out. I'll help you with it. Finished core values, go to transferable skills. It's on the next page. Yeah. If you did core values, you can move to skills, and if you finish skills, you can move to personality. And if you finish personality, flip over and start to just summarize your answers. We're not going to take too long, so don't, you know, it's easy to get caught up in the words. Okay. So, you have to take only a few minutes to think about yourself, to think about your core values, your skills, your transferable skills, your personality. Not a lot of time. What was it like to go through that process? What did it feel like to have to go through this? To reflect, to self-assess? Yeah.
Thinking about, is this really my core value, or is this what I wish was my core value, or is this what I think others think is my core value?
That's good.
I got tripped up
That's okay.
Perception.
Yeah, but that's a good point. So that's why I'm saying it's not like you're gonna figure this out in 2 seconds, but that's how your mind starts working. Is this me, or is this how others see me? And the more you reflect on it and you talk to people, you're gonna start to find, wait a minute, this is really my guiding light. And there are certain things that you may aspire to be, but is that how they see you? And that's okay. You may want to own that. So now you have to think about how am I going to project that if that's my core value. That's good feedback. What else? Yeah.
I recently left the job to start a new one, and so my last day of my old job, coworkers, wrote some goodbye cards, and so reading them, I was so surprised and appreciative of the, adjectives they use, like, "Oh, miss your smile," like, "You're so kind," and I was like, "This is really nice." And this is stuff that I would have thought more like friends would say than coworkers, but I thought it was sweet that some stuff that generally I think of as more like home-based did come out in a work setting.
That's
So,
a great example. What makes that a great example? What about that with what we just spoke about? What did she just touch on?
the awareness.
Authentic personal brand. It was really good. You didn't, see, that's the whole point. You may not be conscious of it. Now I want you to be conscious of it. You're allowed to be, and you should be. And now you're going to move through life going, oh, that's how people see me. I didn't actually have this on the slide, but something I sense myself, when you're in tune with your personal brand, a reason you should do this, it gives you confidence. It makes you feel good about yourself because you're living in your strengths. It's a really good feeling. As you said it, you were smiling and thinking about it like, I didn't know they thought of me that way. It's a wonderful feeling. So the more that you're paying attention to your personal brand, the more motivated you are. And it's not hard to be consistent because it's your best self. What else? What was another experience? Raise your hand up.
I think for me, like when I write down some of these things, I struggle because I know how I am, but I find it's boring to me. And it's like I look at something with qualities, but I'm in the job search now. I'm like, these are not the things that employers are looking for. They want to get what I can do, but if you look for certain things, like the reliable, I've always been described as that. I mean, to your
Who's
point,
told you it's boring?
well, to your point earlier, right? You don't want to be, and I learned too. You don't want to be the dumping ground a lot, right? So that's.
Did you want to say something about that?
So I just wanted to ask you, when you think about your core values, I put like my core values are safety, stability, honesty, health, but those core values are really not the one that you should really brand yourself.
Why should you not brand yourself with honesty? You just
I
said
mean,
honesty was a core value? Why wouldn't you?
That's but I don't feel like employers are really looking for that.
Okay.
I don't know. I felt like I'm really not doing well at these interviews. I'm honest during the interviews because I don't want to put myself in a position that somebody got disappointed in me.
Right.
But I'm really not doing good at interviews. So I'm just thinking should we really be honest about our personal values, or should we adapt in the industry?
No, you raise a good point. So here's a couple of ideas on this. One is, what are you going after? Is it what you really should be going after? Like, what's the target? What's the position? What's the job? The environment? Maybe it's the industry you want to be in, but maybe that company, maybe those people, you're sensing your values are out of alignment with theirs. And so and if you're aware of that and you're okay with it, great. If you are aware and you're not okay, it may be you have to shift what you're targeting, the kind of positions you're going after. I mean, just to give a high-level example, if I'm someone that loves to be enthusiastic and I like to talk fast and I like to have a lot of things going on, and I want to take a job where I'm sitting processing data, that's outside my core value. Now, I could rise to it and do it if I have to, but I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be doing what I want. And if I went on an interview, I'm not being authentic, trying to convince them that I'd be really good doing data processing when it's not in my core values, it's not in my personality type. So part of it is just thinking about the targets. And the other thing is, what feedback have you gotten that gives you the impression your values are not acceptable or not okay? Does anyone have any ideas about this?
my goal is my personal brand for my new business, so that's a direction of that. My dot company's partnered up with pharmaceutical magnesium cream that we're selling. So her name's on the product, my name's going on it very soon. I need to figure out what direction to take.
Okay, so that's corporate branding, and how do you define your core values? How does it align with what your company is
I'm a
doing?
wellness educator.
You're what? A wellness educator?
Yeah, so I do physical medicine,
Yeah.
vascular surgery, non-invasive, non-surgical, and magnesium is like, it does everything. DNA, RNA, converts amino acids, proteins, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
It's amazing products, so they think of the brand, the right name, to get my point across.
So the more you understand what your strengths are, where is that touch point for you that is something you want people to always see, aligned with the product. Now, the whole other business side of it with your partner and everything, that's business marketing, right?
Yeah.
That's brand marketing. I'm talking about personal marketing and how you show up when you're maybe selling your product to someone and having them experience what your values like. What else? Yeah.
So I previously worked for a company for 29 years. My last supervisor basically put me down and criticized me for being over empathetic, being too friendly. I basically did loss prevention interviews with employees that were stealing. But I felt it didn't matter, you should always be respectful to people. And usually that's when they're going to admit anyway, but irregardless, you're still respectful of someone. So I wound up losing my job for a couple of different reasons, mostly him, and then they got rid of him, so I was real happy about that. But the point I'm getting to, the company I work for now, we work for a bunch of different retailers, and they actually give us feedback forms. And now it's like she's empathetic, she's friendly with our employees, she helps our manager, you know what I mean? So
all
I'm
the
glad
things
I
you
stuck my ground with what I
That's-
felt was my
Yeah.
personal brand.
Yeah.
Even though part of losing my job was for it, I was much happier not working for that company anymore.
That is such a good example, and that goes back to the point I was just making. Yeah.
So it goes back to, how your values change.
Yeah, your values do
And
change.
so
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from the lens of my new job and what it's giving me, and also what people are kind of envisioning when they come in to buy my product or my service. And it's completely different from what would be appreciated in my previous
Right.
job. So something like, so I was an accountant, I'm a CPA, that's what I used to do. Something like freedom, fun, and happiness would not be appreciated there.
Right.
So,
Right.
and now I'm a travel agent.
And now you're travel, freedom, fun. What was the third one you said?
And happiness,
Yeah.
and balance was one of the So,
Right.
it's just completely different, so it's changed.
That's a great example. Any other ideas? Any experience from working on this particular exercise? Any aha moments that you hadn't expected? Yeah.
I think that something that I put into my current brand may not be working right for me now that I'm going through this now. I'm a general contractor,
Okay.
home renovation expert, one of the few women in the field in my area. I get known for that, but in my logo I have something that says under promising and over delivering every time. But I think sometimes my clients, I think I always over delivering. So they keep, I think they take
They
advantage
take
of that.
advantage.
Right, because I have that in my logo. And they know I'm gonna go way out and do everything they ask me for, you know? And I'm trying to think that now.
So it just opened your eyes up to
Yes,
realize
right.
how are they here I thought they would see me one way.
Right.
How are they perceiving me, and is that working?
Right.
Is that working
Right.
for me? And maybe the answer is when you look at more of your core values and some of the others too, you can find the right language, the right keywords that get that point across without having the other side of it, the weighted side that you don't want.
Right. I mean, I do over deliver. I still want them to know.
Yeah.
But I don't, you know.
But you don't want to imply that they can take advantage of it.
Exactly.
Right. So that there might be, and that's a really good, I brought this up before, but it's all about networking. The more you can get feedback from your clients, from your colleagues, anyone that you're working with, if you're in some kind of networking for other general contractors, get feedback, research, hear what they're saying. You're going to find what's true to you, because you can't change who you are, and that's what makes you great at your job. It's just putting it out there. And also, just have this thought, it might also be the clients you're targeting. Maybe there's certain clients that just are, you should sense they're gonna take advantage of me. Do I wanna work with them, or should I be building a different clientele?
In a network environment,
Yeah.
are you really going to hear what people think about you and your business? I'm just thinking.
Well, it depends on the networking environment. There's so many different kinds of networking events and experiences. If it's a cold event and no one's ever heard of you, then you're not going to get that kind of feedback. But if you're part of a group, if you're part of like a B&I group, or you're part of some committee that's specific to your industry, or a women's leadership group that you go to every week with your organization, there are many ways that people start to get to know you and see you, and you can get feedback. It's not just, you know, you can't, obviously you're not going to just walk in a room and go, what's going on? What do you think? I mean, you can try, but it may not take you as far as you're looking to go with that.
What's B&I?
Is anyone part of B&I?
Breakfast.
It's Business Network International. Business. They might do breakfast. B&I is a fantastic networking group. I don't know if no one's a member of B&I.
So I did a lot of networking for
B&I is
right
the place.
now.
You might want to write this down.
But it is expensive, and they can be a little bit cutthroat. So I'm not a member of them. I do a lot of other networking groups.
Toastmasters is another good one.
I find Meetup very useful.
And Meetup is fantastic.
So,
Meetup is free.
Yeah, Meetup is free for the most part, so I find with that.
Exactly. And these are all environments where you, when you come out of this workshop, you're going to have some tools to think about, how do I talk about myself? How do I describe myself to other people? And you can go to these types of events and start practicing with the brand statement that we're going to work on in a little bit.
And just to mention, there is also neighbors help neighbors.
Yeah.
Which are also free. I mean, I'm not sure how practical they are, but they are free.
No, that's a good option. And you have to find what fits you. Everyone here is coming from a different experience, a different background. Any other experiences with doing this part of the workshop? Any surprises or something that connected for you that related to previous feedback in your career? Yeah.
I don't know if it related to previous feedback, but I did a mission statement probably about 7 years ago, and it stood joyfully living, loving, laughing, learning, and serving, which covers everything, by the way. But it does tend to make you go somewhere. And I actually had to waste many adjectives to serve with. And I realized almost all of them came into one of those 5 words, except that there's a whole new section. And so I sort of feel like I've sort of grown through them. I don't necessarily want to drop them. I'm a little older than some of the others, although a lot of us are a little bit older. But you know, how many values you have at 20, sometimes by the time you're 40 or 50 plus, 5 may not be enough, and I'm okay with that. So I feel like I grew since the last time.
That is really interesting that you recognize what was and what's different now. And certain things are going to continue, and certain things you may say, you know what, they serve their purpose for me. They're not as on the high of the list. They're still there, they just may not be the top ones you want to focus on, because you can't prioritize every single one of them, otherwise nothing's a priority. So what are the ones that you really want to focus on? That's why I put 5. It's what works for you, and that's where you really start to dig into it, what you want to work on. Now, I want you to practice something. Go forward with this exercise. I think you're pretty much paired up. Is anyone not next to someone? If you're in a group of 3, you guys can do it amongst each other. But I want you to pick one core, it's a simple exercise. You're going to pick one core value, one skill, and one personality. You're going to turn to your neighbor and you're going to say, I am those 3 things. Your neighbor is going to reflect it back to you. I heard you share that more. And then you're going to reverse roles. So ideally, everyone should be paired up. If you're not, you can find someone, or you can just huddle together and all take turns sharing them. What was that process like for you? You only had a few seconds to really pull something and share it. What was that like? Easy? It was Right. Right. And you know, a lot of times, so this was just a quick exercise. The more you think about job is you find ways throughout the entire day to bring these words into your conversation and talk to people that know you really well, and people that you may not know extremely well, but they work with you and they have a peripheral view. Start to practice with some of these words and see, is this right? Is this fit for me? Which one do you really want to focus on? And it shifts depending on who your audience is. It does, it shifts. It really, you're going to have certain things at the top of that list, depending on who you're speaking to, whether it's a hiring manager, or it's a potential client, or it's someone you're a colleague with and you're just trying to do professional development. There's going to be some shifts. It's still all there, but the priority will change in sequence. What else? What was it like to have to say these words to someone and then hear it reflected back? How did it feel when you said it and someone said back to you, I hear you saying these things? Like, proud.
Yes.
Why did it make you feel proud?
Because I work on some streets very throughout my life.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's coming circle and people are getting here and they feel proud to see.
That's wonderful. I want to emphasize your point here because a lot of times I hear, I feel like I'm bragging. Did anyone feel like they were bragging? I feel like I'm showing off. You should be proud of what you worked hard on. There's nothing about that that's bragging. When you own that and you've done it, you have to put it out there because it's being authentic to who you are. What would be bragging? What would make it bragging?
Yeah, so I feel like I don't like to feel like that because like the film I'm over promising and what if I under the river? That's my problem. I always like worry that I'm over promising and what if I disappoint them? What if I and then I don't even get the job so I cannot even disappoint them.
There's a little bit of the imposter syndrome. I'm sure you have the qualifications, but your head is getting in the way with the process of going, am I really able to do it? There's that, but you know what?
But I really feel like, as you said, I really feel like I'm showing off.
Right, but it's something you should be proud of when you talk about the things that are true to you, when it's something you really worked on. You should feel good. And by the way, sometimes it's not natural for people to talk about themselves. It's a muscle. You have to practice. So I'm kind of giving you a little training here to have some tools, some weights for what to lift, to practice saying these words so you can get comfortable using it and you don't get tongue-tied. Some people, it flows off the tongue. They have no problem doing it.
Yeah.
Right? And you're just like, how do they do that? But other people, you just sit there in your head going, I can't. Nothing's coming out of my mouth. And if nothing comes out, no one's feeling any energy from it. So you have to use this as a guide to get started with thinking about how you're going to express your personal brand. And it's not that you're going to say every one of these words in a job interview, right? We're going to get into this in a second, but there's elements of this that will be the foundation behind how you handle yourself in an interview.
Yeah, I use a strategy when others say about me, so I use the letter of recommendation, and then I read it, and then I'm trying to brand myself as others.
You're looking at the perception of what they see. And you should look at what they say, and is it what you think the hiring manager wants to? Is it what you need to be qualified for that job? That's the other piece too. Okay. Did I say that again? Yeah.
What was interesting was I found it easy to state it, but where I want to change some of the words in that sense. I want to add risk taker, add powerful or bold. So like just coming up with a phrase of what I envision what I want to be is what I'm going to walk away with. So I feel like I have to see that or hear that a lot more.
Yes.
I know what I am. I know where I want to
Where
go.
you want to go. And that's really great because now you're going to set your intention. And if you know where you want to go, you can get there. It's when you're kind of, in the fog and stuck, I don't know where I want, but you know where you want to be. So now you're just saying that, you're going to recognize when you're in those risk-taking moments, and it should feel really good for you. Like you should be someone that if you're in an experience that's risk-taking, it should feel like you should feel like alive. Okay? Yeah, you look like you're getting excited. Anyone else? Any other experience with just saying those words and reciting it back? Okay, yeah.
I felt like it was kind of reassuring because I feel like sometimes when you think about yourself on a daily basis, you kind of lose track of like your values and like who you are.
Yeah.
But to kind of hear it said out loud, it's like,
exactly, it validates. And you think you're living in that way, but is that it? And just to have someone say it, it's holding a mirror up to you. And you suddenly hear it, and it's one thing to hear it here, it's another thing to hear it come at you. Even though you told them these are my words, but to have it reflected back to you changes your own understanding of yourself. Okay, good. All right, so let's go to this next piece. It's just going to build on, and some of you may have already jumped into it, but that's okay. But let me set this up for you. So, we have been playing with these words. I think words are really important, but it's what stands behind the words, right? So now I want you to really start to think about your brand statement. That is sort of this grammar, punchy sentence, one or two sentences, that it starts off your elevator pitch. It would start off the answer to tell me about yourself. If someone wanted to know more about you, this first section, this brand statement, is kind of poking the hole into that. So they then say, ooh, I want to know more. Tell me more about that. And one of the ways you can start to build a brand statement is to use these sections that I gave you. You may already have phrases you play with, right? Some of you have things you've heard, people have said to you. You may want to play with that too, but think about just this little bit of an assessment we did. How can you adjust what you've heard before, what you've used before, to reflect on where you are today based on that worksheet? Now, the way it breaks down, it's only one or two sentences. You want to reflect on what you're best at. Who are you targeting? Are you saying this to your customer or your client, your potential client? Are you saying this to a hiring manager? Are you saying this to a colleague? So think about who you're saying it to, because it will adjust depending on the audience. What do you do unique? This comes from your skills. It might also come from your personality. What do you do that's unique? And what motivates you about it? Why do you do it? Now, it might be hard to really think this through. I have two samples, two options on the worksheet with lots of examples. You might want to just start with I help or I give and start to flow. I use that as a writing prompt a lot with clients. It helps them get the juices flowing. Now, just to show you, this is mine. This is what I use, and I went through a career transition. As a former marketing executive in the music business, I used to boost and launch the careers of rock stars. Now as an executive and career coach, I help make rock stars out of aspiring professionals and executives through my coaching style of positive forward momentum. And it ties to my logo, which is a whole other level of branding. This took forever. It's not going to happen in 2 seconds. It took a really long time. But once you catch on to it and you start the building blocks and you're always conscious, it starts to come together, it starts to jump. And by the way, I changed this. I always keep with the rock star piece because that's my previous industry. I worked there for 25 years. A lot of people know me from there. So I have to always recognize that that's where I come from. But sometimes I'll just tell people, what do you do? I like to help people turn an I don't know into an I know, and I can't into an I can. Because that's the essence of what I do. And I really like to do that. So think about what's something that is going to grab a person's attention about what you bring to the table based on what you're going after. Did you have a one? Yeah.
What if you're someone who's embarking on their career?
Someone that's just getting started, aspiring professional. Well, so now what you're going to talk about is, what are you going after? And what do you bring to the table? Do you bring leadership experience? Do you bring event planning? What have you done, whether it's within school or outside the classroom, that qualifies you and is something you love to do, right? So it's not about just saying what you do. It's also, the whole point of this is, who are you behind this? What's your personality type? Are you charismatic? Are you energetic? Are you enthusiastic? I'm sure you've had friends tell you certain phrases, right? So think about how you can project that in this statement. Does that help? Okay, good. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to give you a few minutes to work on it, and then we'll come back together on it. quiet. I can hear everyone's wheels spinning. It's a lot deeper, right? We just keep going a little bit deeper on how are we talking about ourselves? What are we sharing? So, tell me what it was like to have to take it to that next place. Was it easy? No. What worked for you? What started to gel for you in the process? Yeah.
I really like the Mad Lib style one, the option 2.
Mad
I
Lib.
think the option 1
Yep.
there's a little bit too like I
Too
feel like
open?
too
Yeah.
open, and I'm a speech language pathologist, and sometimes if you like go on Pinterest, there's a lot of like I give a voice to the voiceless, and it's like a little too on the nose for me. So I think I really like the second option because I kind of framed it the way I did some of my cover letters back when I was looking, which is like I'm a speech language pathologist. I support and advocate people with disabilities, and I help them express their wants and needs, and like really clear and
Yes.
to the point, and not too like. Anyway, so I like that one.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you managed to pull it together. Notice you were reflecting on previous things you've done, right? Excellent. What else? What was it like? Yeah.
Well, I am a teacher who will be retiring. Well, I have my 25 years in. And previous to this, it was in marketing as well as yourself. So now I'm going for my encore career, they call it.
Yes.
So I found the first option easier for me because I know I'm a multi-passion entrepreneur, and I have a lot of skills that I developed in 2 careers and that I want to use. So it was hard for me to put this all together because I have so many. I couldn't keep it to 5. I couldn't keep it to.
It's hard to
whatever it was.
whittle it down, right?
Yeah, I had too many,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't know.
Right. So
Too many goals, and too many.
no. Well, what it is you're just starting to put it all in front of you, and you can't just have the one answer, right? You have to lay it all out and then decide what's staying with me, what's not. What do I want to focus on, depending on who I'm speaking to? And going into an encore career, how is what I've done in the past branded to where I'm going next, right?
Right.
Good. Who else? Yeah. What was it like for you to work on
It was
this?
good. So I feel like I've done some of this only because I've had to do it
Yeah.
to kind of come up with my brand. So I went with option 2 as well, which is easier. And I said I'm a travel agent with self-planning travel experiences for busy professionals so they can have stress-free and enjoyable travel experience.
I love that. Stress-free. We want you to take care of all the stress of it. Excellent. And you knew, so I'm going to guess some core value behind there. You enjoy what other people think of as stressful. You're like, no, I'm good at that.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't like that.
It came back from me planning my own vacation when I used to go early into the office every morning and plan my vacation for 1 hour every morning. So that actually came back.
That's amazing. See, so you're living in your brand. You are aware of what your brand is, and you continue to update it to where you're at today and where you're building your business. That's really great. That's why there's this parallel difference, right? You're just getting started digging into it and getting ready for an encore career. You've now been reflecting and getting to that next place, and that's going to keep growing with you. What was it like to have to hold it when we talk about the option 2, the bit longer version of it? What was it like to have to do that, to really think about talking about yourself in that way? Yeah.
I found it really difficult. I sort of cheated off stuff I've been done in the past, because I'm currently in transition right now too. So I found it agonizing.
It's agonizing. And remember, the ground rules when we started, you want to get outside your comfort zone. This is going to be, this stuff requires heavy thinking, heavy reflection. We're just getting started, and the fact that you're feeling that is something you have to just keep pushing through, because you're going to find that path through it. It just takes a lot more reflection. And the fact that you have this with you now, you have to go back, let it marinate in your head, and one of these days it's going to just pop for you and go, oh, that's where I'll take this, and maybe I won't go with this. Right now you're just pulling all the pieces together. Yeah, and so one of the things you might want to do is just take a few key words from the different skills. Really just the skills, because you're coming in a career transition. So for you, you might find it's helpful, pull aside core values, pull aside personality. It's always there, right? You already evaluated it. maybe just dig into your skills, your soft skills, your transferable skills. Because that's where, and I think I was just talking to you about this before, that's kind of the common denominator when it comes to career transitions. What's the skill that you have from your previous job that you want to use in the next job? And what's a skill that it's going to really help you do very well in your new career that you may not have used as much in your previous job but you want to use going forward? So maybe spend more time in the skills part. That might just declutter all the thinking going on. I saw another hand up. Yeah.
I felt a terrible, helpless feeling, like I wanted you to help me and make it nicer. I couldn't find the words, and I know there are better words,
Right.
and it's just a big help.
Right. So, can you share what you put?
Yes. And then I don't know if it's like weirdly specific and weirdly vague at the same time,
Let's
and if
see.
I'm even narrowing it. Okay. I'm kind of going into, I'm in education, but I'm going into leadership. I just graduated from another program.
Okay.
I am an enthusiastic, aspiring leader who enjoys seeing the results that arise from manipulating various events.
The results that arrive from
The results that arise from manipulating various events. I like to try to figure things out. Like when things happen at work, and I want to see what other leaders are going to do now. And I'm like, okay, this happened. I'm always.
So it sounds like you're a bit of a visionary, and you like to.
I like that.
You're visionary.
You're helping.
So but you see, what happens when you start? I'm trained to do this, so I can throw it at you fast. But even when you talk to people that know you, they know how to translate you. Right? It sounds like that's what you need right now. It's just some translation of the ideas.
I love that. Visionary.
You happy with it?
So I found that you have to do, for me, options.
Yeah.
So, okay, maybe A, I have a few things. I'm like, no, B, let me do this phrase. And then I guess I'll eventually work into my final brand of how I want to sell my stuff.
Yes.
This right here.
It's like driving you nuts.
Yeah.
So, that's good. It's good.
Be right home thinking about my brand.
Right.
How do I brand myself?
So what you want to think about now is, how would I just say it? So I'm giving you words, and we're doing a worksheet. You're not necessarily going to say it just like that.
Right.
Not yet, anyway. So that's the building blocks to this. So you may find I've just kind of given you some thoughts, like a thought starter, and in a few days from now, you find yourself just saying it. You're like, what I'm just trying to say is this. And you're like, oh, that's the phrase. I remember struggling with this at one point, and then finally I said, well, I just know how to make things happen. I was like, oh, all of this to say I know how to get something to happen, right? So it takes time, but that's because you're working through it. So what I want you guys to do right now, for just a few moments, because some of you shared, I want you to turn back to your partner, and I want you to share your statement and just reflect on it for a few moments with each other. Because I want you to get used to the sense of finding those words. And if one of you have feedback or an idea, give it, right? This is the whole idea of giving and getting information. Okay, so clearly you guys are getting more comfortable with having to talk about yourself, having to share who you are, and get feedback, right? It's not always easy to do that, but you practice, and the more you do it, the more it just starts to flow. I want to quickly hear like one or two complete brand statements. Someone want to share with me what they've got? Yes.
I like it, so
Let's hear it.
I'm a realtor, and I am in the middle of working on my work.
Yeah.
So I came up with, I am a facilitator of the real savings. Honestly, it's not literally just sitting here, that's exactly what I do, and that's exactly what I am. And I definitely don't want to use what a million other realtors use, and you've heard them all. I'm the best of the best, I'm the local best realtor agent or expert. you know.
No, you found your authentic
Love it.
personal brand statement.
Yeah.
That is really good.
Really like
I love it.
Really like it.
Wow.
Definitely use it.
Good. Anyone else? Another one? Can you hear one more? Yeah.
You want me to just say it?
Do you want to share the statement?
Yeah, oh
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
It says, I'm an eclectic visionary. I wrote that down before you. I'm an eclectic visionary who enjoys spreading laughter and provoking thoughts.
And provoking thoughts?
Yeah.
Ooh. So when you hear that, right, what's the next thought? What's the next thought? Keep going, right? Ooh, tell me more. What's that all about? That was really good. So that's a punchy, shortened version, right? Every person has their own way of doing it. You just hit something that we all went, ooh, okay. What's the next thing behind that? That's really good. So that's a good example. If you're struggling, what's that little teaser that helps you keep going with it? Okay? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I think one of the keys to his statement was there were words that you don't necessarily keep. I mean, I'm so stuck in bureaucratic educational leaves that I can't get away from certain words, but the words that he used were kind of, you had to, wait a minute, I haven't heard that word recently in terms of.
Yeah, refreshing. Say it again? Yeah, go ahead, say it again. Stand up and say it.
I'm an eclectic visionary who enjoys spreading laughter and provoking new thought.
That's so good. Now, that leads into your executive presence and your personal image, how you show up. That's why I had to stand up. Because when you're talking about yourself, you've got to have a certain presence, right? Executive presence, personal image. It's seen, it's heard, it's felt. Right now, we're like, we're in the trenches figuring it out, right? So that's okay. But when you start showing up, whether it's in a job interview or even in your job or just how you're presenting yourself to someone you're meeting for the first time, remember, it's all about that impression you're making. How are you seen, heard, and felt? So there's dress for success. I don't know if you've ever heard this phrase, but you want to dress for the job you're going after. You've heard that, right? It's easy to go, oh, I don't feel like going to work today. I'm going to put the sweats on and whatever. But you're not dressing for where you're trying to go to next. Be conscious of it, right? It's all about being aware of your personal brand. How you show up is equally as impactful as what you're saying. Your presence, your body language, your posture. You guys hear this a lot? Right? So if you're in a meeting, I mean, first of all, I like everyone's posture. They're all leaning forward, listening, hands up. I don't think anyone looks too bored, so that's a good thing for me to take a cue. But if sometimes you're speaking, like if you're in an interview, and the hiring manager's sitting there and they look totally distracted, disconnected, they're on their phone, they're walking out of the room and coming back interrupted, that's all an impression of their executive presence. And it's not necessarily a sign that you're not doing something right. It's a sign you may not want to work with that person, right? Because it's a two-way street when you're interviewing. So executive presence, how is your eye contact? Are you smiling? We get caught in our head trying to remember our personal brand statement, and then we forget to smile. So even just smiling helps a lot. And open body language is really a good thing. So when you're sitting at a table, if you have your hands on the table, just being open. If you sit too much crossed arms, I mean, sometimes there's a comfort level, but if you're always crossed, it sends a sign that you're closing yourself off from people. So you always want to be aware of your body language. Once you have that synapse fire off in your head, it's easier to make the adjustment. It just comes naturally. Your voice, right? So make sure you're not speaking too fast, too slow. Recognize the pace. And being concise. Who's ever gotten that feedback? That when
That's hard, I think.
Yes.
I mean, that's hard, right?
It's hard. And it depends. But you've got to be aware if you're working in a place that they have a certain time frame, a certain pace. You cannot be taking 10 minutes to explain something. You know it's a fast-paced environment. You have to adapt and adjust your presence for that. And being concise in your message. Your energy level, so this is really important that we sometimes forget, comes through so strongly in that first impression. The handshake, how you really present yourself to someone. And I have to say, a handshake, I do this with all my clients, all my students, it's 2 pumps and out. Not too many pumps, not the claw. I get the claw, not the claw. You gotta go in, 2 pumps and out. And like, don't crush them, but definitely don't make it like a wet noodle. And one other thing on the handshakes, sometimes people, get sweaty hands, it's totally normal. But a little tip, if you're going on an interview or somewhere, you don't want to have sweaty hands. Before you get there, hold a cold drink, and then dump the drink. Don't walk in with the drink. But sometimes that temperature helps alleviate sweaty hand.
That's from my son.
Yeah, so that can help. And of course, be aware if you're always clenching your hands and then you're about to meet people, keep your hands open, right? And have energy. So when you, like all of you have energy right now in the room, and it's pretty late, and that's great to see. You need to show you have some energy, whether it's sitting forward or nodding your head to show that you have executive presence, personal image, because those first impressions last. So wrapped in with all your personal brand is how are you showing up? How are you presenting yourself? Does anyone have any other ideas on this? Yeah.
Just something I learned that helps me with being concise. They call it like a star, or call it, what's the situation, the task, the action, and the result.
Yes.
So it really just lets you focus on those 4 things, and it's better to be too short, because if they want more information, they'll ask for it.
Yeah, they'll ask.
Rather than going on.
Star is a great model. I actually would go shorter than that. I like to go with car or par.
Par is
Only because it's easier to remember the 3.
Well, that's that.
But so car is challenge, action, result, and SAR is situation, action, result. PAR is problem, action, result. Essentially, it's a model for telling a story, to be concise. And you really should use it when you're in interviews. So you think of a great accomplishment story and you format it in your head saying, the situation was, the action I took, and as a result. And you can actually start with each of those phrases, and eventually you'll find your way to say it. Some companies actually will say in the preparation for an interview, come prepared to answer questions using the CAR, SAR, PAR model. That's the essence of it. And I use it a lot, even just in work. When I'm working with students, when I'm working with clients, it's easier to remember. Because if you have verbal vomit of the mouth, you've lost them. You have to keep it structured. Your brain can process better if you say the problem was the action I took and as a result. If anyone's in healthcare, I know I work with a lot of nursing students, they actually have to report everything using this model. It's all about in emergency medicine. What was the problem? What was the action? What was the result? So it's a known method and it's very effective. Plus it helps you get your thoughts in order so you're not jumping around.
I'm sorry, what was CAR, SAR, PAR again?
So CAR is challenge, action, result. PAR is problem, action, result. And SAR, S-A-R, is situation, action, result.
Thank you.
And essentially just modeling your stories, your accomplishment stories, fitting into that. So if it's the problem was. Action, the action was.
Remember someone talking, pardon me, about having an elevator pitch.
Yeah.
So figure if you're on the elevator for 2
30
minutes.
seconds.
What can you say that leaves someone with the understanding of something in that short amount of time?
Yes. What we are working on, the brand statement, is sort of that initiator to a more developed elevator pitch, which is typically like 30 seconds, and then you build it to 2 minutes. Exactly. In the sake of time, I want to move to the next slide. Building a strong personal brand isn't about telling people how great you are, it's showing people how great you are. Now, how do you make yourself more discoverable and memorable? Right, so we spent some time reflecting on what is your authentic personal brand, right? We really started digging into the trenches on that. Then we talked a bit about executive presence and personal image, how you start to package yourself out there. So how can you be more discoverable and memorable? What are some things you could do to get yourself seen and heard? Yeah,
Reviews.
reviews. What do you mean by reviews?
When past clients that will give you a review
Yes.
of your service or from your experience.
Absolutely.
That they have to do.
That's great. So get someone to talk about their experience with you, whether it's on a website or a blog or wherever it is that you're.
You know, I do a lot of that.
Yeah, that's perfect. What's another example? How else can you be discoverable and memorable? Volunteer. Volunteer. Yes. Get yourself out there in front of people. What else? When I say this, I mean sort of in the marketing promotion type way. Yeah.
Social media.
Yeah? Well, give me some examples. What would you do?
So a lot of my travels, you know, I'm all over Facebook, I'm all over Instagram, and I may not necessarily get the benefit right now, but you know, it's very, when people are seeing my travels, they're like, oh, I want to go there, and they think about me the next time they're thinking about it, or they might just reach out to me for any questions or anything like that.
Exactly, because remember, your personal brand is everywhere. People are observing, people are watching. It's your digital footprint. So you want to have a presence. If you're going to put yourself on social media, which everyone is in some capacity on social media, in the very least on LinkedIn, you've got to be in control of what that message is. Is it in alignment with your story, with your authentic personal brand? I don't know if any of you know, but like I have teenage girls and they're on Instagram. They have their Instagram and everyone has their Finstagram. You guys know the Finstagram, right? It's the fake Instagram.
The parents say
So
one.
you want to talk about a generation that knows branding. There's your curated, beautiful, perfect, filtered photos. And then there's the Finstagram, which is their account, but it's only for their closest friends, and that's where they just put silly, goofy things, the unfiltered photos. It's fake, it's the Finstagram. And it's incognito, so you can't really find them. That's like a whole next wave of technology. But right now, what you guys need to think about is, how are you telling your story? How are you connecting the dots, whether it's with your business or even just personally? How are you telling your personal brand? So these are some ways, we touched on it. LinkedIn, I'm a big believer in the power of LinkedIn and branding. And it's not just about the profile. It's about sharing, putting content out relevant to you. You're in the real estate market. You may want to share on LinkedIn potential properties, news, information, images. Become the thought leader, right? Become someone that has an opinion. Use your personal brand to express yourself and have a voice. You could be podcasting. You may want to own that podcast to talk about something that you deeply believe in. And you want to help spread the word so that people, when they Google your name, it's all wrapping together under these areas. Now, the personal brand statement that we worked on, that you're still going to dig into, you could use that in any of these ways. You could put it on your resume. You could put it on LinkedIn in your summary section, like About Me. You should consider opening your summary on LinkedIn with elements of your branding statement. Maybe your headline on LinkedIn could have it.
So I'm running into an issue because my LinkedIn is my partner in my old job and I'm managing the new company.
Yep.
So when people see it, people don't always get to they'll see it, oh, she manages this, but they see my old one, my old job, and that is some of my target clientele as well.
So I'm going to, without looking at it, I got a couple of thoughts on that. You need to have a LinkedIn page for your business.
I do already.
Okay, that's separate.
Yeah.
Then you should have your personal, professional LinkedIn profile, and your headline should be what it is right now.
Okay.
Are you living in two worlds at the same time?
Yes.
So you're still working as an accountant?
No, I'm not. So basically, I ended my job, and then my
And now
current
you're-
job says, oh, I'm managing this company.
Right.
But if somebody's looking at it, like, they don't see it. The first thing is not defining the company I manage right now. If that
Oh,
makes
that's
sense.
easily fixable. So
Okay.
you just have to check your time frame and adjust it to put it first. That's actually easily fixable.
Okay.
And make sure your headline
Yeah.
is saying, let's say it says travel agent,
Yeah.
right? / it could also say former CPA
Okay.
or former accountant,
Okay.
so that those looking for you know what you did previously.
Because I still get stuff for my accounting job.
I got you. I had the same thing. So for a certain period of time, you're going to live in two worlds in your headline.
Okay.
And then eventually, as time goes on, you're going to push that out and you're going to focus on where you're at today. Yes?
What
I've had a brand for about, it'll be 5 years this year, but I've never introduced myself on the brand, and that's what I really want to do.
So it's a product when you say the brand, or, and you want to introduce it?
I would introduce myself as like on the page as like I'm the owner.
And what's keeping you from doing
I just never wanted myself on the Instagram or on the page.
Well, so you may want to have your professional, like your just.
Like I have my private.
Right, so you can have your personal that you just don't want to keep open because it's like, family stuff, whatever, you want to keep it private. But your business one should be that branded one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a friend, she's a hairdresser, and she was adding all her clients to her page, but it was confusing because she really wanted to keep her family and personal stuff separate from all her hair images and all the artwork that she did with hair. So then she finally created 2 separate profiles. And it actually said personal site. To learn about my business, here's my business Instagram. So you might want to differentiate.
Yeah, I do have the personal, but I think for the business, I want to have more of like not like a blogger approach, but more of like, this is who runs the brand, this is my background, this is what I do. So there's kind of like a little bit more personal, but not necessarily, I'm still not going to be on the business page like, oh, I got married yesterday. You know what I mean? I'm not going to share that
Personal
information.
business, you want to manage what is being said. You want to be conscious of your personal brand and how much personal, private information you're putting up there. That's doable, but you still got to own what your product is and put yourself with it, right?
Yeah.
You have to connect the dots. It should be that if I Google you, it makes sense, the narrative that I'm seeing. It tells me, oh, she's got her personal things here that I can't access because she's keeping it private, and this is her business. This is her brand of her product, and elements of it reflect who you are, right? Okay. All right, good. Any other thoughts on how to share, how to get the word out about your personal brand? Or has anyone done something else that worked for them? Yeah.
What's your thought about pictures, photographs, integrated in all of this stuff?
It's what works best for you, right? So it's really what's your voice, what's effective for your brand. I am a big fan of photos, and just in general, social media is so visual and so photo-based, you should consider how you could bring that into the picture. So for the sake of time, I want to get things wrapped up, and I'm going to give you guys a homework that's at the back of the worksheet, because here's the thing. We were spending a lot of time with you guys reflecting on your strengths, your personality, your core values, but what you don't know is the other half. What do people think of you, right? We don't really know. We can try and guess, but we don't really know. This model, did anyone ever hear of this? The Johari model, have you heard of it?
I've done Myers-Briggs a couple of times, a couple of my jobs.
Okay, so Johari model, it's a little bit of different from Myers-Briggs. What it does is it tells you what you know to you, right? Things that are known by you and also seen by others. It tells you what's hidden, things you keep to yourself that no one else knows, right? Things you may know that you're really good at helping others, but you never demonstrate that, and no one knows that. The other corner, things that are unknown by you, but seen and acknowledged by others. So like when I told that story before, my boss had said to me, you're a utility player. I can always depend on you. I haven't seen myself like that. It was known to him, it wasn't known to me. And in the far corner, unknown. This is just no one knows. I call it your potential. It's potentially what you could bring out or what someone might see in you, but it lays in the unknown space. Now, this model is very useful when you're trying to build your personal brand and understand how do people see you. So this link, which is on your worksheet, is free, and it's really easy, and it's fun. Create a quick profile, it takes like a minute, and you send the link to your circle. Start with your friends, your family, people you feel really comfortable with, so you can see how it works. And then you can keep sending it to more people, and you're gonna start to get a perception of what do people think of you. It's really insightful, and it helps you understand how to be conscious and manage your personal brand.
Do they, I don't know, imagine some people will their comments be anonymous?
You'll know, they'll make a profile, and it will say, if they give their name, you'll know it's their name, or if they give some mystery name, you won't know who it is.
Okay.
Okay? It's very simple. Okay, so we went through a series of goals here, right? Understand what your personal brand is, the impact it's going to have on your success. Identify and articulate as best as you can what differentiates you. Communicating your personal brand statement, and understanding the power of personal image and executive presence. I want to leave you with this quote. I love this quote. Did anyone ever hear this quote before?
Yes.
Your smile is your logo, your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after an experience is your trademark. That's how you should be going out into the world with your authentic personal brand. Thank you very much for bringing me in tonight.